Hello, sweet friends. So this video is for chapter 1 from the Midwife's Apprentice. This is that new book we are starting, and you've probably already noticed that it is so much shorter than the other novels we have read. You'll also probably notice that the actual words on the page just take up less page space than what we're used to. So it's short in a couple different ways. I do hope you enjoy this book. I think you will enjoy this book. It takes place in medieval times. Some of the lingo used is going to be a little different. It's going to read slightly differently. I will clarify any potential words or phrases that might cause confusion as I read. Your assignment for this week is to read chapters 1, 2, and 3, but I'm going to be doing 3 different videos. So this video is just for chapter 1. There will be a separate one for chapter 2, and then a separate one for chapter 3. Sound good? So, let's get started. Karen Cushman's The Midwife's Apprentice, chapter 1. All right, this chapter is titled The Dung Heap. Ooh. When animal droppings and garbage and spoiled straw are piled up in a great heap, the rotting and moiling give forth heat. Usually no one gets close enough to notice because of the stench. Stench is just another word for a really strong smell. Usually one that doesn't smell very good. But the girl noticed, and on that frosty night burrowed deep into the warm, rotting muck, heedless of the smell. In any event, the dung heap probably smelled little worse than everything else in her life. The food scraps scavenged from kitchen yards, the stables and the sties she slept in when she could, and her own unwashed, unnourished, unloved, and unlovely body. How old she was hard to say. She was small and pale, with the frightened air of an ill-used child, but her scrawny, underfed body did give off a hint of woman, so perhaps she was 12 or 13. No one knew for sure, least of all the girl herself, who knew no home, no mother, and no name, but brat, and never had. So in other words, she doesn't have a family. She doesn't have a home. She doesn't even really have a name, except for the fact that people will refer to her as Brat. So in a way, she's just kind of adopted that as her name. Someone, she assumed, must have borne her. In other words, obviously someone gave birth to her. She obviously had a family at some point and cared for her, lest she toddle into the pond and changed her own diapers when they reeked. But as long as she could remember, Brat had lived on her own by what means she could. Stealing an onion here, or helping with the harvest there, in exchange for a night on the stable floor. She took what she could from a village and moved on before the villagers, with their rakes and sticks, drove her away. Snug cottages and warm bread and mothers who hugged their babies were beyond her imagining. In other words, she can't even really conjure up the mental image of what it must feel like to go home to a family, which is really sad. But dearly would she have loved to eat a turnip without the mud of the field still on it, or sleep in a barn fragrant with new hay, and not the rank smell of pigs who fart when they eat too much. Tonight she settled for the warm rotting of a dung heap, where she dreamed of nothing, for she hoped for nothing, and expected nothing. It was as cold and dark inside her as out in the frosty night. Oh my goodness, that's a very sad simile. So she's comparing everything she feels on her insides with how it feels on the outside. So she's kind of comparing her feelings to a really cold, frosty night. Oh. Morning brought rain to ease the cold, and the kick of a boot in Brat's belly. Oh, hunger. In other words, she wasn't really kicked by a boot. You know that feeling when you haven't eaten in a really long time and it almost feels like super painful, as if someone were to kick you in the stomach? Brat hated the hunger most. Or was it the cold? She knew only that hunger and cold cursed her life and kept her walking and waking and working for no other reason than to stop the pain. In other words, she kept waking up every day and she kept walking about from place to place and she kept herself busy working to try to just get the pain to stop. Also probably as a distraction from this hunger pain and this lack of sleep pain. Dung beetle, smelly old dung beetle sleeping in the dung. Ugh, boys. In every village there were boys teasing and taunting and pinching and kicking. Always they were the scrawniest or the ugliest or the dirtiest or the stupidest boys, picked on by everyone else, with no one left uglier or stupider than they but her. And so they taunted and they tormented her in every village, always. She closed her eyes. Hey, boys, have off. You're mucking up the path in my new Spanish leather shoes. Away. And you, girl, are you alive or dead? Brat opened one eye. A woman was there. A woman neither old nor young, but in between. Neither fat nor thin, but in between. An important-looking woman with a sharp nose and a sharp glance and a wimple starched into sharp pleats. A wimple is like a head covering. I'll try to find and upload a picture for you guys just so you can have the visual image. Good, said the woman. You're not dead. No need to call the... Oh, wait a minute. It just occurred to me. You guys, this is a wimple, what she's wearing on her head. So I don't have to look up a picture. I forgot. She's wearing one in the picture. So our main character winds up wearing a wimple. This is what a wimple is. All right. Good, said the woman. You're not dead. No need to call the bailiff to cart you out. Now out of that heap and away. The fierce pain in her stomach made Brat bold. Please, may I have something to eat first? No beggars in this village. Away. Please, mistress, a little to eat. To those who don't work, don't eat. Brat opened her other eye to show her eagerness and energy. I'll work, mistress. I'm stronger and smarter than I seem. Smart enough to use the heat from the dung heap, I see. What can you do? Anything, mistress, and I don't eat much. The woman's sharp nose smelled hunger, which she could use to her own greedy purpose. Get up then, girl. You do put me in mind of a dung beetle burrowing that heap. Get up, beetle, and I may yet find something for you to do. So now this girl, who's really just been referred to as Brat for most of her life, and that wasn't even her official name, is now getting a new name of sorts. She's getting called Beetle because like a dung beetle would bury itself in a dung heap, this woman found her snuggled up in a dung heap. So now it sounds like she's going to be called Beetle. And I may yet find something for you to do. So Brat, newly christened Beetle, got up, and the sharp lady found some work for her to do, and rewarded her with dry bread and half a mug of sour ale, which tasted so sweet to the girl that she slept in the dung heap another night, hoping for more work and more bread on the morrow. And there was more work, sweeping the lady's dirt floor and washing her linen in the stream and carrying her bundles to those cottages where a new baby was expected. For this sharp lady was a midwife. Beetle soon acquired a new name, the Midwife's Apprentice, and a place to sleep that smelled much better than the dung heap, though it was much less warm. Okay, so we've learned a few things. This lady who found who we knew as Brat, who we now know as Beetle, she found her in a dung heap. So this lady who found her is a midwife. And a midwife is someone who helps women deliver babies. They're like experts on delivering babies. And so now that Beetle is helping her, she is what's called her apprentice. And an apprentice is a word given to somebody who not only helps a professional in that field, like this midwife, but also kind of learns the tasks of the trade, as well as being their helper. So she is this midwife's apprentice. It sounds like now she has a place to stay and sleep that's not a dung heap. She has a new name, Beetle, and we are going to be finding all out about her new life. But this is just chapter 1. I will be uploading a different video for chapter 2 and a different video for chapter 3. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.